What's happening, people? Johnny Styles here with the Wellness Observer Live. It is May 23rd, 2022, and the New York Pro has just wrapped up this past weekend. We're going to be talking about that and then much, much more.
Stand clear of the closing doors.
Thank you to everybody who went on my YouTube page as we did a live play-by-play party, a watch party, which basically you guys saw on one screen. If you bought the pay-per-view, you guys saw the pay-per-view on one screen, and then you popped my YouTube commentary and you heard me critique the girls live play-by-play. It was awesome. This is the second time we do it, and if we get more shows like this, it's cool because I can interact with you guys and I can actually talk about the girls live. And I don't give star ratings, but the way I look at these girls when they come out, you can kind of sort of tell how I'm gonna be judging them. If you saw the stream, and if you saw my YouTube play-by-play reaction, you know that I had a few things to say. The first thing was that the live stream seemed different than the Pittsburgh Pro live stream. It's one of those things that I wanted to touch on real quick because I do have experience. And if you don't know, that's kind of what I've been doing for the past 11, 12 years. When nobody did live streams before, I was directing and producing live streams. And it's a constructive criticism so you can show your appreciation, and maybe promoters in the long run will get this better every single time. The problem with this live stream was the stage. The stage needed to be higher, 4 foot, 5 foot, maybe 6 foot higher than it really needed to be. That's why when I logged on, I told you guys this needed to be fixed somehow, some way. I knew it wasn't going to be fixed, but the stage was very low. So when the competitors came out, they only had 2 camera point of views, and the wide shot, you could see the entire press pit. And thank God that I know all these girls and I know all the people competing, because I can tell if a competitor already has, good calves and, a good lower body, meaning lower than the knee, and I could tell. But if you're a new person watching the show, sometimes you couldn't really tell. And if you're at home and you're watching this, then you don't know why this competitor plays ahead of the other one. It's just one of those things that needs to be fixed in order to produce more shows. The backdrop, usually if you saw last year's show, the backdrop was black and white. I don't know if it was a botch or it was just the backdrop got delivered black and white. I don't know if they did that on purpose. I don't know if they did it for pictures. It just gave a weird look. At first, I thought they were using what we call in photography or videography a LUT, which is kind of like a filter to the actual stream. But then I found out that the actual backdrop was just black and white. If you saw last year's show, it was blue. And I'm sure there were, if you saw the backdrop, you see it right here. There's sponsors like Redcon One is there because Aaron sponsored all these shows before he went away. Powerhouse Gym, Best Francis, East Coast Mecca. All these sponsors have colors in their logos. So I don't know exactly what happened. And it was a double-edged sword because in reality, it kind of worked. I actually like the way we did it old school for prejudging, at least in the Arnold Classic. It was just a black backdrop. Nothing else, the Ironman as well, just black, and you can just focus on the competitor instead of like being weirded out by the backdrop sometimes, because different cameras can expose different types of lighting and coloring. So it was kind of like a double-edged sword. I liked it, but at the same time, I don't know if that was meant to be on purpose. I don't know if the promoter Steve Weinberger wanted that to be that just black and white. There is no replay at the moment that I know of. There was no replay. I don't know why. if you buy a live stream, I don't know why it couldn't be done to show replays. I know people in the West Coast, no matter how much promotion you do for this, some people are gonna forget this, that, and the other. Some people work, and when people went back to the live stream, they couldn't go back and watch it. They couldn't do the replay. So replay value is really important, and that's something that it needs to be looked on. And in the end, we got a live stream that it was just fast forward all the time, live. We can go back. The quality was okay. It could have been better, but again, like, listen, back in the day, we didn't have this, and now we do. So baby steps need to be taken in order to get these live streams fixed. But I'm grateful that they're happening. I'm really grateful that we could see the show, and now I'm here talking to you guys because I couldn't make it to the show. And even if I was in the show, I couldn't be doing this live play-by-plays and coming to you straight live as the show is going. As far as the competition was okay. Of course, we wanted more competitors. Of course, we wanted more girls in there. But at the end of the day, we got only 5-6 girls, and they all came in pretty much like I was expecting them to come in. If you see the scorecard right here, Sunny won unanimously. All the judges seem to like her for first place. All the judges seem to like Cass Gillis for second place. And all the judges seem to like Jasmine Payne for third. It's one of those things that you know. When you know, you just know, and you can tell with the live scorecard right here from the judges. It's one of those things. I'm gonna talk about. I mean, if you haven't seen my live play-by-play, it's right there on YouTube right now. You can go back and watch it as I critiqued all these girls. But I really don't have much to say. But if you missed it, I'm gonna give you some keynotes. Also, right here on the Wellness Observer's Instagram, I did some cliff notes of the competitors as they were walking through. For Madison Luna, I liked her overall look. I liked her overall shape. It's just she wasn't in shape. She wasn't conditioned enough. She had a lot of trouble with her posing. And then it's one of those things you cannot afford to make these mistakes on a New York Pro stage. You just can't. Especially the fidgeting. So fidgeting is when you're like moving the arm too much and you're wobbling in your feet too much. You're having problems with transitions. All this hurts, especially when you are up against, best of the best in the world. Rafael Sen came in from Brazil, and I honestly expected a little bit more from Rafael. She's one of those girls that, a lot of the American crowd did not see. She tried to do like a Francielle'S type of back pose here. And you can tell this girl has muscle. She has calves, she has hamstrings. Her glutes were full. They were very, very full. I would have to be there in person to check on that fullness, if you know what I mean. But I expected her to be a little bit more tighter, especially more conditioned. Her color was a little bit lighter than usual. And for those of you wondering, yes, those shoes she was wearing are not the shoes we usually wear, the girls wear in the IFBB Pro League. I'm sure somebody told her about it, or not. Maybe they didn't tell her about it. But for somebody that's hearing this right now, and you have people in Brazil, make sure you have the proper shoe attire. And she definitely needed to be more conditioned. Let's see. So for those two girls, honestly, it was just a conditioning game more than anything. The size was just there. I was happy with that size, to be completely honest with you. Judy and Winston completely impressed the hell out of me. She had big, nice, round glutes. Side shots were very killer. She needed to be a little bit more drier, probably in her front quads, especially on this side shot where her quarter turns. You can see that on that left leg, she's not as shredded as the other girls. But remember, Judian, I used to tell that Judian looked like a figure girl because she was bigger on top. She had massive delts, and it looks like her upper body has come down a lot. So this is good for her because she can only get better. She has good calves, and really she has a good stage presentation. So between Judy and Jasmine, it was pretty damn close in my opinion. Because what happened with Jasmine, which you all heard it here, I like Jasmine since Pittsburgh Pro. She was the dark horse coming in. I like her stage flow, her presentation, her hair, her coloring, her charisma on stage. I like everything about her. The one thing she's missing is, number one, calves, which she can grow. And number two, she has such great quads and hamstrings that her glutes look small. I'm not saying her glutes are small. I'm saying that her glutes look small compared to the size of her quads. What does that mean? Her glutes need to be bigger so they can catch up to her massive quads. Let me tell you, when this girl gets that glute in that proper size, she's gonna be really hard to beat. So stay on the lookout for her. Especially, listen, if you're doing the side shot here, you can specifically tell that her glute is not popping, especially the upper part of it compared to the other girls. So Jasmine, you keep doing what you're doing. Honestly, it's one of those things that you have to keep working hard at it. Cassandra Gillis comes straight from Canada, again doing the rematch battle between her and Sunny Andrews. And I am completely happy with how Cassandra looks in the New York Pro. I wouldn't say she had to be harder. I wouldn't say she had to be softer. Cassandra has had a little bit of both in the IFBB Pro League. She's been really hard and she's been really soft. The judges obviously gave her feedback and she needs to be in a happy medium. This is the best Cassandra Gillis we've seen so far, and it wasn't enough to beat Sunny Andrews, but she's really damn close. And her posing did get better. I'm still kind of weirded out sometimes by the way she walks in a weird jumpy way, but she's gotten better. It's gotten better, and that's what it's all about, to get better. I like her quarter turns this time. She stuck her hip out a little bit more, and you can see that glute popping out more than ever. See how her right leg on this picture, you can see the lines, but they're softer lines. So that's hard to do. That is not easy to do, especially if you're a competitor that you're dealing with judges that are telling you, come in harder, come in softer. Here's what I say. I would like to be critiqued for being over-conditioned than under-conditioned. So you always want to be, in a way, harder. So in a way, that you did come in shape instead of a judge telling you were not in shape. And winning unanimously, of course, the doctor will see you now. And I'm getting text messages live on set. The doctor will see you now. Sunny Andrews comes in here, and as I predicted, she was gonna probably win the show, and she did win the show. Her posing, still, I gave her 4 stars. The reason I didn't give her 5 stars, because I still think in my heart that her posing can still be better every single time. She, off the stage, you can tell that she has great confidence in herself, but sometimes when she's on stage, she kind of doesn't have that confidence. And she has a banging body, okay? The amount of muscle and separation and softness and hardness, all that combined, it's really hard to do, especially when you are on a pro stage like Pittsburgh Pro or New York Pro. She has found a way to nail her conditioning on stage, which means that she probably has to suffer for the last 4 or 5 days to get into a gnarly conditioning in order to fill up so she could look this way on stage. So props to Sunny. She is now the new Pittsburgh Pro and New York Pro champion, and I don't care what anybody says. That takes a heavy toll, especially when you're gonna go to the Olympia stage. I don't care what anybody says. The New York Pro and the Pittsburgh Pro are one of the top elite shows, bigger and more elite than the Boston Pro, the Tampa Pro. And I'm not taking away anything from the Tampa Pro and the Boston Pro. It's just New York and Pittsburgh are the top shows in the East Coast, basically. And then you get your other shows, which is fine. Again, I'm not taking anything again from the other shows. I'm just saying those 2 shows, they take a heavy toll, especially if you are the champ. Okay, so congratulations to Sunny Andrews. Again, I'm really happy that she's doing all these shows, kind of like Ashley Kaltwasser. You know, this is your job. This is your job to compete. This is not a job that, okay, I'm qualified for the Olympia, so let me take a year off and just relax. Like, no, this is your job. This is your job, and you should go in and try to do as much as shows possible, get that money, keep your name in the voices of the fans, the judges, the league. It gives you value. And going into the Olympia, going to the show, trust me, that is going to have tremendous amounts of weight in the judges' eyes. So for my segue on the other things we have to talk about, I got a few questions that were really, really cool. Okay. And I wanted to touch on it just because, again, Sonny just won. And I got a question basically saying, you know, who's the biggest threat to Francielle Mattos' title at the Olympia? And I had to stop for a second and think really, really close, because in my mind, I had some names in there, but everything changed. I'm pretty sure that the names we're going to be seeing at the Olympia this year are going to be a little bit different since the inaugural Wellness Olympia. So if you ask me, honestly, right now, looking at the standards, looking at the standing, and the girls have won, the girls have lost, the girls that haven't even competed in America, there's some girls. And for me right now, as you know, as Johnny Styles, the godfather of wellness, the biggest threat Francielle has in the world right now is somebody that we haven't seen in America. And, you know, her name is Ryan Fogal. She has an insane package. And not only that, she looks tremendously alike Francielle Mattos. Like the same glute, ham, teardrop, great calves, great presentation, sexiness, the whole 9 yards. And it will be really interesting to see them both next to each other at their very best. We also have seen Juju, and you guys have known I posted her before. She was in France, and then France, she has to come to Brazil, then she has to go to Mexico probably, and then she has to go to America. She says she's doing the Olympia. That's another threat. She can always bring it no matter what, and she hasn't even competed in America. Of course, the Arnold Classic champion, Isa Pereira, which I had second place at the Olympia last year. Remember, I had her second place behind Francielle, and Isa came in at the Arnold Classic 8 pounds heavier. So that means she grew into the show and she looks much better. So how is this version of Isa gonna look next to Francielle, next to Ryan? Don't take her out. She's still the Arnold Classic champion. And we have Lala Bushi, which again, I've mentioned her before. Super elegant, super big, super cool. Like her whole presentation just speaks like a Victoria's Secret wellness superstar. How would she look in an Olympia stage? And then you add the rest of the cast, from the Angela Borges to the Jarishnas, you know, and see what's going to happen there. So right now, I would also say that Sunny Andrews just won these 2 shows. You have to put her up there, because if you heard my last 4 names, they're all Brazilian. But in America, right now, Sunny Andrews has anything to do battle with all these Brazilians. And I'm being completely honest. If you could stand them next to each other, front, side, back, Sunny Andrews has exactly what they're looking for, the size and the fullness. Remember, the judges can only judge what's in front of them. So when you pair up people at Tampa Pro, Boston Pro, you cannot expect the same people to show up. So what happens in the Olympia when all these girls are at the best shape and structure and fullness, what's going to happen there? But I posted Ryan on yesterday's feed, and you can tell that she is coming. She's called the Hurricane. So Big Ramy calls himself, you know, winter's coming and all that. So she wants to come in as the Hurricane. And I would love to see her on stage doing battle with the world champ. Let me know what you guys think. Comment below. Let me know on Instagram, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify. I'm still working on Overcast. So I sent them the whole lineup to see if they can add it on Overcast. but it's available. The whole podcast is available. I am waiting on a very special guest interview. She's going to be the very first guest that I'm going to be having at the show. We're going to interview her, and it's all going to be non-BS. It's going to be straight shooting with Johnny Styles, of course. So again, thank you guys so much for listening in. I know this show, we wanted more, but it is what it is. We got what we got. And in the year 2022, Sonny Andrews is taking over. So hey, everybody else needs to step up and do battle, because the Olympia is shaping up to be 10 times better than the inaugural Wellness Olympia. This has been Johnny Styles. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Let's do this.